Hi Aries, this is your forecast for the month of October 2018. This is a general reading for Aries Sun, Aries Rising, or Aries Moon. For a more rounded overview, please watch your rising and moon sign as well. So Aries, this first week starts off with a major card, the Emperor. This is your signature card. It has a strong tie to Aries. And so this week, perhaps you have a very strong influence over a situation, or there are important spiritual lessons to be learned, probably directly tied to power. Now, for some of you, this may play out in connection to a father figure, your role as a father. It could be a company, any kind of entity or institution that has some measure of control. So the company you work for, or the government, or somebody that holds authority over you. And this is a week that's going to focus on your level of responsibility and the demands that are being put upon you. So the focus could be your own leadership skills and your own use of personal power. So you may be dealing with authorities or acting as one, but power and security are the central focus that is driving, that is at the core of events for you this week. So for some of you, you're focused on achievement of some sort. You want some success. You want some stability. You want recognition. You want respect. And you are putting forth a lot of energy and effort to obtain that. Maybe this is about establishing yourself financially, acquiring some kind of material wealth, or perhaps this is just about becoming your own person, realizing the force of you and who you are. For some of you, this may be a job promotion, or you're trying to establish a project and set it on some kind of firm foundation. And that is a theme for you this week, laying the foundation. Finding out where you stand, knowing how solid you are in a situation. Because your decisions are going to be driven by that. Your sense of security, how well you're fitting into the group and those around you, the environment. And if you haven't been doing that great of a job thus far, this could be a week where you're having to face the music. So you could have some problems that center around control, whether you've been running away from it or things have spun out of control. Maybe there's a lack of progress with regard to a situation. And it could come down to either your own maturity level or some kind of inferiority complex, or somebody that maybe you're taking on traits where you don't want to grow up, or you're dealing with people who are like that. So there could be some issues that could run the gamut from rebelliousness to dependency. Maybe you're becoming impatient with the situation, or there's some indecisiveness with regard to something. Somebody's been unreliable, or they're very narrowly focused. So, or maybe they're not putting any thought at all into a situation. It's just arbitrary. So you could have a great deal of responsibility to deal with. Perhaps there's a lack of direction, or, somebody is abusing their power. You may be taking on power. It may be coming at you. For some of you, you will be dealing with a rival or an opponent. But for others of you, maybe there's someone that's going to be helpful in claiming your power. This could be, somebody that has some advice, somebody that's acting as a mentor. It could be that the company you work for gives you an opportunity that will propel you in some way. You're dealing with someone of importance and someone who holds power, and whether they're using that wisely or not is at issue. So for some of you, control is going to be important this week. Something about situations are going to get under your skin. You're going to feel the temperature rise. You're going to perhaps get angry about a situation, and you're going to have to be in control of yourself and your emotions, because this is a week where you're feeling especially protective of self, what is important to you, what belongs to you. You are very territorial this week. Again, your security is driving everything. And so situations are going to be intense, and you're going to try to get to the bottom of a situation to discover the truth of it. And for some of you, you're at the beginning or the end of a very stressful situation. Again, you may be taking on more responsibility. You may be asked to take charge of a situation. And it's probably likely that you're going to be very assertive this week. You are willing to impose your ambitions because of what you want. And so you're going to be very direct this week. Even if you thought you were going to take a different approach, circumstances are going to call for you to say what you mean and mean what you say. And you're putting forth a lot of mental energy and focus and will towards something. But there's something you want out of it. And so you're willing to, respond to those demands. You're willing to do whatever it takes to get what you want. And it's likely because of some new revelation, some new perspective, some new information, or you're realizing that you've encountered some opposition or a snag and you're going to have to be more original, or you're going to have to think outside of the box or take a different approach. And again, for some of you, it's more self-awareness. You're coming to an understanding about how either you haven't claimed your power or how you've been misusing your power. So this is about, again, coming into your own. Now, certain situations, you're not going to be able to gain control. You're going to be dealing with a difficult situation. And part of it may be impatience. There's something you want, an objective. And so you're pushing people or circumstances in negative ways. You want something to happen faster than it should, or more than it really even needs to. And so that creates more problems for you. Something is not unfolding organically. You're prodding or somebody's pushing you. So there's too much intensity, too much self-righteousness, too much concern perhaps for self-interest. And because of that, you may end up alone or isolated, either socially or emotionally. You have begun to rub people the wrong way, and you've become difficult and they don't want to deal with you, or vice versa. So for some of you, this is going to be a week where the power lies in accepting that there's a situation that you can't change. And you have to come to terms with that before that energy starts to turn on you. So you may have some inner turmoil that begins to wear at your physical well-being because of a circumstance. And you're having to look this week at where people are being excessively demanding. What kind of responsibility or obligation can you deal with? And what will you find yourself buckling under? Could be somebody's being excessively petty or nitpicky or judgmental or critical or controlling or demanding. So now leadership, has turned into tyranny. And so you're having to discover in certain cases where you thought you were running the show and you don't have as much power as you thought, or you're driving that message home to somebody. So again, this is going to be a week where your leadership skills are going to be important. They're either going to be challenged or you're going to get reward through them. And so this is a week to practice self-control and a good dose of common sense. Now, the second week, you have the Hermit card. So for some of you, there's a strong tie to a Virgo person. But for others of you, this is about getting some information. Now, maybe you are doing some research work, or you're bringing something to light, perhaps something to do with your work or connected to work, or somebody, is shedding the light, some authority figure is bringing light to something. So for some of you, this is somebody playing a role for you, perhaps a teacher, a mentor, a guide, a spiritual advisor. This is a week where you may be reassessing a situation, especially if you were under some stress last week. You may pull back and decide to rest, to gather your thoughts. In fact, there could be a focus on your health, the mental well-being, the physical well-being. You could be some age issues. And so you are reassessing your situation. And this is a week where you may enjoy your own company. You prefer solitude so that you can think, so you can sort some things out, so you can gather some information. And you may be waiting patiently for something. So you're in a period of preparation. You are preparing something. So this could be voluntary isolation. Or you could find yourself, depending on how a situation played out last week, you may find yourself in exile. Perhaps you've been banished. So this could be a week where, again, if you're having to face the music, it could be because there's been some irresponsibility, some foolish choices, and, not recognizing the truth, failing to see the light. And so for some of you, you were so self-absorbed in a situation until something may have occurred that you weren't prepared for. This is a week where you have to be mindful of where you put your focus, because if you're too intent on something and you're not looking at the whole picture, you may be missing something. Something could happen behind your back or fall through the cracks just when you least expect it. But for others of you, this is about a week of going within, searching for some answers, either by contacting the ultimate source or connecting to those who can give you some good advice. So you are doing some self-discovery right now, and perhaps it's about your own personal power or your ability to assert yourself or achieve a goal. So this could be a week where you may need to lay low. Discretion could be important, being very prudent, managing something with an eye to the dollar, your time, your investment. For some of you, you're getting some counseling to do this reassessment. There's some knowledge that needs to come to light. Again, either you want to bring that to others or somebody's bringing that to your attention. So you're doing some deliberation. And if there's been a misuse of power, this could also be a week that focuses on atonement in some way, because this is a very karmic card. The universe is helping you to wrap up some unfinished business, some loose ends, some things that you have been trying to avoid, maybe things that you have failed to see or take notice of. And so you're going to have to do a reassessment and reevaluate your belief system, because something about your belief and your understanding of yourself and others is going to be challenged. And this could be a week where, again, you experience some form of crisis or something that's very stressful for you. But, take assurance that you are also being protected and guided through this experience. This is a learning lesson where you're going to have to apply your logic, your reason, and not allow your emotions to override. Last week, you may have gotten a little bit hot under the collar, but this is a week for you to step back, to be more intellectual, to be more philosophical about whatever's going on, so that you can clearly see and make some good judgments that are going to work for you, so that you can make sound decisions that are best for you. Because this could be a week where if you're relying on other people to come through, you definitely need to find your personal power. You're going to have to make decisions that work for you. So this is going to be a week of observance and listening. That's where you gain. That's where you make progress. Using your common sense and not so much relying on people to keep their word, because they may not. So you have to be very discerning. You have to bring some things to light. You have to shine on the darkness to figure out what is good for you. Now, for some of you, if you were banished, maybe this is excessive isolation. Maybe for some of you, maybe you're dealing with government where there's an enforced silence. Maybe there's a gag order of some sort. Or You've closed off to contact, or maybe you think you can do everything. Maybe you're on a power trip and there's just too much self-reliance. For others of you, you can feel rejected by something. Maybe it's really you. Maybe there's a fear of intimacy. Maybe there's been a lack of communication, or there's some suspicion with regard to your connections. For others of you, maybe you're worried about your health, or you indeed have been victimized in some way, or you've deceived yourself. So this could be a week where you have to be careful about your judgment, because you could be working against yourself, against your better judgment. So the more objective you are, the less emotional, the better decisions that you can make. So this is about you keeping your eye on your goals as well as with your conscience, making sure that those things align. And you're also looking at other people to see if they are keeping their word. Are they just, spouting out some words, but they don't deliver, they don't show up, they don't do what they promise? So this is about you, again, being mindful and observant of who you're connected to and how it's going to impact you, and being able to step back and clearly see yourself, others, the circumstance to make those good decisions. Now, this may center around abundance, whatever that means to you. It could be abundant information is important this week, or abundant understanding, or maybe, in a material sense, related to your finances. So you are trying to reap the fruit of your efforts, the hard work that you were willing to put in last week. And there may be a sense of gratitude this week, or there may be a need to shift into a different mindset. Perhaps you've been trying to control something because of a scarcity mentality, or you've been connected to someone like that. So this is a week where discretion is going to be important, being very prudent in your decisions. And you can really connect to others and communicate in such a way where maybe you don't show your hand fully. You're keeping people at a distance. You're doing just enough, or you're biding your time, or you're giving just enough information. But again, you should be aware of where you're focusing your energy so that you don't lose track of something else. Now, this is a card that is strongly tied to Virgo. A sign of service, a sign of helping others, being efficient, improving something. And that could be a focus. But to the extreme, this could be a week where some kind of conflict arises, some kind of controversy based on criticism. There's a difference between analyzing where there's a problem and being nitpicky and criticizing somebody to death, making a judgment call, or being too self-righteous, thinking that you know everything. So you may be suffering from that, or you may be dealing with somebody who does. And so the universe is stepping in this week to bring an humbling influence, to allow somebody, you or someone you're connected to, a clearer understanding of the role of service and the role of, having knowledge, or whether you're trying to lord that information over other people. And perhaps the difference between pure information versus wisdom. So this is a week where you may find yourself in some kind of face-off or showdown where there's going to be a loser. And whoever is losing, there's a lesson for that person, a lesson in humility and judgment and criticism. So this is a week where, and also maybe about being so stringently poverty conscious, where every dime and every dollar needs to be accounted for, where that supersedes everything. So again, that shift in consciousness is important this week. Now, the third week, you have the wheel. So we have 3 weeks running of major card. So this is going to be an especially important month for you. It's especially significant on some level for you, emotionally or spiritually. And this is a week where it could be a game changer. It's another karmic card where you have set a wheel in motion based on some recent behavior, some words or speech. And either it's a change for the better or not. So the good news first, this could be good luck you're experiencing. Maybe you advance at work, something comes to light. Maybe you've given more authority, you get a promotion, you move up in the world, or you claim your personal power, you go within and discover a part of yourself that you didn't realize before. So this could be a week of improvements, and things are happening quickly. The first week you wanted things to move. The second week, maybe you step back for a minute. And the third week, now it's time for action. We're ready to roll. So there could be a fortunate turn of events for you. And you're ending one phase and you're starting a new one. For some of you, this is literal. This is about a brand new car, perhaps, or new wheels or tires or something. But this could be, again, where everything changes. Karma is at play. And that may be due to you doing that inner listening, gathering the information, doing the proper research before you make your move. And you have a fresh perspective that turns that wheel towards success. So it's your attitude this week. Attitude is everything. And this is a week where your attitude creates the karma. So something may have been hanging in the balance. You were waiting for something to be resolved or to see what the outcome would be. And something about your behavior, your interaction has now changed the course of that situation. And so this could be a week where you're focused on the material. If you were having a pity party about your finances, perhaps this is a week where you got in gear and you decided, you know what? I am going to come up with a solution. I will not be stopped. And so your material dilemma creates some emotional resolve. And vice versa. If you were putting emotional stock in something or putting words into an investment, this could be the week where you say, you know what? I got to get up off of the cash to make it happen. And you do so. So you are becoming especially resourceful this week. And that's going to take you toward your victory. You may look back and think, I shouldn't have made that move. Maybe that was the wrong choice. And ultimately, events play out in such a way where you end up on top. Especially if you are taking on more responsibility, more obligations, more demands. Even if that isn't the fair balance of a situation, that is what leads to your success. Now, this is going to be a week where you can easily take charge of something and make some changes that you want to see. And it may turn out to be the smashing success and better than you expected. Especially if you are drawing upon your personal skills, your strengths, your talents, your knowledge. You can easily and quickly solve any kind of problem or obstacle that you're up against. So this is a week in the positive to take a risk. You may feel especially lucky. Maybe you're speculating on something and you're focused on some kind of good fortune, manifesting something with your thoughts and opening up new possibilities for yourself. But for others of you, again, especially if you were abusing your power or not claiming it, or you weren't using your common sense, maybe you weren't listening to good advice, you could experience some kind of failure this week, maybe a run of bad luck. Something is changing. It could be an unexpected setback or something is stagnating. Maybe you're disappointed. Maybe you're feeling out of sync with other people, or maybe you thought something was going to move forward and now it's hit a dead end. And not only has it hit a dead end, now it's going downhill. For some of you, again, you're not listening. You're turning your back on something. And you are resistant to making some beneficial changes. And so part of that could be maybe there's some fear. Maybe there's a fear of success. Maybe you're closing off to some new opportunities because you're running scared about some mistakes you made in the past. So you can enhance your luck this week by looking for it, being open to it, because there could be something in your circumstance that you're taking for granted. Something that is small or insignificant and you feel like it has no value. And remember, the Hermit says that you could be so focused over there, but really the gold is over here. So you have to make sure that you're not taking your blessings for granted. If something doesn't go your way, you don't have the full picture. That could prove to be a blessing in disguise. Now, this could be a week where if you're taking that Emperor and you're still running with it, maybe you're impatient. Maybe you don't want to hear advice. You don't want to listen to your own intuition. You don't want to connect to source. You don't want to hear what other people have to say, even if they're packaging it in a way that they are hoping is palatable for you. They're making some kind suggestions, or they're giving you some constructive criticism, and yet you're not having it. You don't want to hear it. And so you end up on a track going nowhere. You're spinning on the wheel and not making any headway. So this could be a week where you need to get some clarity about a situation. It could be that perhaps you were involved with something and you were expecting too much. And that's just not possible. It was something unrealistic to begin with. Or, and this is more important, perhaps you weren't expecting enough. Enough of yourself, enough of life, or enough of a situation. So you're having to rethink some things this week that center again around good fortune, your possibilities, and getting some clarity on that. Now, the final week, you're ending on a positive note. You have this Ace of Cups. So you may feel very emotional this week. Your cup is running over. You want to share it. Now, for some of you, this may tie to a love situation, a passionate union, a love you share for somebody. It could be your own creativity that you've taken control of. Perhaps you're an artist, or you have some psychic awareness, or you just have greater compassion. You're looking at something differently. So this is a week that focuses on the divine, love in its purest sense. If there were a health issue that was a focus for you, you're focused on how your mind, your body, and your spirit is all connected. This is, again, your sense of abundance. And this may be in the form of a new relationship with yourself, perhaps the birth of something, a pregnancy. Could be, you're experiencing some kind of sensuality, a sensual passion, a new love. Something is stirring your heart this week. You feel a sense of emotional renewal. Maybe you've went within, you're looking, if you're an artist, let's say you're focused on your work, you're making some changes and you're starting some kind of creative enterprise, or something artistic. For others of you, you're looking at a relationship and maybe you're reviving it, or you're falling in love, or you're taking it in a new direction. For some of you, it could be some kind of gift, a literal gift, a talent of some sort, a psychic gift. So you're moving in new directions, and you just have to make sure you're on the same page with others this week. Now, for some of you, this may be, again, a romance or a situation that you have romanticized, something that's important to you. Could be a new relationship, or you're moving a relationship to the next level. It may tie to somebody you were once romantic with. So this could be a week where you're in the early stages of something, and maybe you feel exhilarated by that. Or you recognize where you've been perhaps in situations where power wasn't used correctly. Somebody was domineering or overbearing or too critical or insensitive or self-absorbed, and there's a need to open up more so to love. Now, for some of you, you may decide you're feeling so many things that you want to share what you're feeling with other people. And so you may share information. It could be you're being very assertive and sharing how you feel, and that changes the game. Or you share some information. You share and bring something to light. So for some of you, you are going to offer up something, or you're going to receive something. It could be a proposal of some sort, perhaps a business proposal, a marriage proposal, a proposal of love. You're going to declare your feelings, and perhaps passionately so. So for some of you, you're going to be renewing some ties, or you're going to go out of your way to do something to offer up love, something where either you surprise a person or you receive that surprise, a gift, a gesture, or you feel perhaps powerless. Maybe you have fallen in love. You are a victim of love at first sight and you like it. But for some of you, the wheel of fortune, of course, is spinning negatively. And maybe, there's been some love lost. Maybe somebody offered up something and it was unrequited. Or you feel unhappy about a situation, or brokenhearted, or rejected. Or maybe, you're running away from emotional attachment because of that fear of intimacy. So for some of you, maybe there's a delay with something, or somebody has been playing with your emotions, or vice versa, or you've been in a situation where you haven't been emotionally fulfilled, or there's some problems in your connections with other people, specifically because of perhaps some self-centeredness, some manipulation. Maybe somebody's rejecting something being offered. Maybe, this is the end of an affair or a separation or some kind of sorrow or grief. And it's likely because that hermit is there, and issues of conflict, that you may find yourself this week involved in some kind of quarrel, some kind of argument that becomes very bitter, and you feel emotionally overwhelmed by something. The way to get ahead this week is to let your emotions work for you, to make this a productive period. If there's something that inspires you or motivates you, use that emotion as a resource to fuel this project or this relationship. And you may end up feeling relieved or grateful. The wheel of fortune could have offered you those blessings, even if it didn't play out the way you planned. You may ultimately feel grateful or thankful because of a new turn of events. But for others of you, you may decide you're going to keep going and make a situation worse than what it is. You're borrowing additional trouble because you're still trying to force something to go your way, and you haven't been able to use the hermit, and you're too emotional. You can't see something clearly. So this is going to be an emotional week where, in the positive, you're sharing your feelings, you're connecting with others, you're moving in new directions, but negatively, perhaps you're withholding affection or devotion because of some mistrust or fear. You may be refusing to let go of some emotions that existed in a relationship that no longer holds value for you. Now, the underlying energy is the Four of Cups. So there's some dissatisfaction for some of you about something being offered. And you're having to withdraw, to think about this offer, to decide about whether you want it, whether it's valid, whether it's helpful. And you may be questioning, again, some of the recent choices, behaviors, decisions that you made. And you're trying to figure out what to do next. Something is missing. Maybe, you're bored with a connection or a project, or, there's a lack of fulfillment. And maybe you're oblivious to what's being offered. You're so, self-contained or so self-absorbed. Or perhaps there's some stressful issue that you're dealing with where you can't even, pay any attention to any kind of social interaction or connection until you resolve what's going on. And part of that is maybe you feel like you're on shaky ground. The Emperor says you're looking for stability, that solid foundation, that structure in your life that makes you feel safe. And right now with the Four of Cups, you may feel that you can't make a call easily because you don't know what's happening in the present. And because of that, you can't even begin to think of trying to make a call about the future. So you feel like you're on some shaky ground. Now, for those of you who claimed your power, you went within to get some answers, or you connected to somebody who could give you some to turn that wheel, you may feel very good about where you are. You're relaxed. You're at peace with a situation, and offers abound. People are offering you things left and right. If you want to take it, great. If you don't, if you decide it's not for you, so be it. And so you may have a number of pleasant opportunities emotionally and financially that can further your interests. But for some of you, you may be offered something and you're dissatisfied with that. You feel that it's not going to give you the benefit that you want in the long term. Maybe it sounds good today in the here and the now, but what about down the road? Is that still going to work? And you're looking at the big picture and you can see those pitfalls. And that's good because you have greater clarity about the big picture. In fact, the Four of Cups says that your intuition is prodding you. It's trying to get your attention. It's trying, for you to take notice. And if you do, you can use that to make your decisions. Whatever truth is being presented to you, if you pay attention to it, you may be able to use that to parlay that into a success for yourself. Now again, you have three major cards: the Emperor, the Hermit, and the Fortune. So, there's something that's going to come to light, something that connects to power, security, your stability, and some changes that are taking place for better or for worse. And this is going to be an emotional month for you where security is all important, but it's also likely that you're going to be experiencing some form of drama. You're having a battle, perhaps with others, but more importantly, with yourself, between your head and your heart. There's something in front of you, some obstacle, some challenge that seems overwhelmingly daunting. This is mission impossible in your mind, and yet you do have what it takes to overcome that. And it's also going to mean that whatever's going on, you may be trying to accommodate other people, yet you're trying to figure out a way to do it where you can still make yourself happy as well. And this is going to center around your partnerships, your connections with others, whether there's being given equal give and take, mutual reciprocity, even exchanges, mutual respect, honor, love, devotion, whatever is on the table. Some of you, this may center around a contract or an agreement, but it's your connection to other people, your attachment to others, and whether you feel devoted and loyal to them, or whether you feel suspicious and anxious, or whether you're seeing them as an opponent. Now, this is also going to center around perhaps some promises being kept, or some kind of invitation to an event. Now, you may have somebody in your midst that is raining on the parade. There's an issue with communication in this reading. Either there's not enough of it, or it's the wrong kind of communication. Maybe somebody's not thinking something through or taking advice. They're being irrational or illogical. And it could be that somebody is unrealistic. Or that, again, there's some things that are working in progress. All of the details haven't been hammered out yet. But there's also some apathy going on. Somebody maybe doesn't feel motivated to make the changes necessary, or there's a lack of desire, a lack of passion. There's not fire driving a situation. And again, somebody could be putting the damper on something. And it's likely connected to that Hermit card. Somebody's stifling the excitement that existed, or the enthusiasm for something. And maybe this is a situation where it only works as long as it's working and you're on the same page with somebody. So as long as we agree, everything's hunky-dory. But as soon as we part ways in our thinking, this situation is no longer working. So unfortunately, in spite of some pressure to change, some outside pressure, things seem to stay the same. There's not a lot of movement, that the peer pressure has no effect whatsoever. And somebody's trying to accept this situation for the way that it is, even though in their minds this is not an ideal setup. This is not the way they want it to be, and they're finding it very difficult to stomach the things as they are. So there could be some feelings of confusion, some doubt, but there's also access to an experienced guide for help. And for some of you, this is a definite health issue where somebody is recovering from addiction and they're attending a support group. All right, Aries, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, I'd love if you would subscribe. You can join me on Instagram or at my blog for a daily post. Or if you like perks, you could join me on Patreon. And of course, you can always book a personal reading at thealchemistastrologer.com.